Welcome to CarTorque and Matty J's 100th podcast. I'm here with...
What are you pointing at? Sorry. It's hard to see at the camera. Alan.
Riz.
Anthony.
And this is... Can you believe we've made 100 podcasts? This is crazy.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty nuts. We are also live on Facebook because it is another Sunday kickback, which we do every Sunday. Riz's first Sunday kickback?
Yeah, no, it's first time. I think it's been running for about 4 weeks now. 5 weeks?
Yeah, about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're obviously, again, as I said, live on Facebook. So for all your Bangs lovers out there, meet me on the Facebook. That's probably a terrible reference, but...
Faceballs.
Faceballs, yes. Anthony's playing PUBG because he's super excited for the 100th podcast.
Ooh.
We just let him in here because we feel bad for him. He doesn't have very many friends, so, we cut him some slack.
I still don't know why I come here. But then again, I remember I don't really do much else, so...
Just gotta come close to the mic, dude.
I guess.
Simon, how you going? He says, well done, boys, with the triple digits.
Thank you. Thanks, Simon. Thanks for joining us again. 100th podcast. We've been on the radio now. This will be the second year. 100th podcast. Basically, I reckon the show's gone from strength to strength. Just talking in general about the show. We've got listeners all over the world, which is really, really cool.
I feel sorry for them all.
It's just amazing what the wonders.
They should feel privileged.
It's amazing just what the wonders of technology can do to bring everyone together. But thanks, Simon. Much appreciated for the big respect on the 100th podcast. With the podcast that you guys have been on, what's been your favourite podcast or favourite topic that we've discussed?
Riz can go first. I think he's got something.
Electric cars.
I know you're a big fan of the Teslas. What about you, Alan?
I reckon probably the most contentious issue has probably been our discussion of driverless cars.
Yeah. And
how they're going to snatch our cars away from us in the next 20, 30 years. So, I mean, it hasn't been, I guess, my favourite, but it's been a damn good discussion.
Yeah. What about you, Anthony?
Hot hatches.
Straight away, hot hatches. We do love our hot hatches. And we're going to get to hot hatches in a bit, because our first podcast was hot hatches and movie cars, going back 100 podcasts ago, which is pretty crazy. So I actually listened to a bit of it, and I think we've improved so much as a collective and as a group to really get it to that next stage, which is really, really cool.
I was perfect from the get go, but some people are just born with it.
And some people it's Maybelline.
Oh man!
James from Man vs Movies has joined the live chat.
Thank you, James. Welcome, James. Big ups to Man vs Movies. Been big supporter of the show. James has been, if it wasn't for James, a lot of this wouldn't be possible, especially with the podcasting gear. So
James is the one to blame for all of you guys wasting your Sunday night like us.
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks, James. You've ruined our lives. Overall, just want to say, as we continue on, a big thanks to all our listeners. Because you've kind of kept us going and given us the feedback and stuff that has helped us become a better show. But also, we make this because we enjoy it, and we make it to make people happy and to listen to the discussions and the bullshit we talk about. So
there's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, but it's good bullshit. It's better than the news or whatever else, whatever 60 minutes program you're watching on a Sunday. So
yes.
Listen to our bullshit instead. It's car bullshit.
It's car bullshit. That's exactly right. But thanks again for guys for coming on 100th, because this is I was hoping for a bit more of an extravaganza, but it didn't really happen that way.
Thanks to Mother's Day.
Day.
What have they done for us lately? People celebrating Mother's Day.
Mothers. Anthony, your mum's overseas, so you don't have to worry.
Yeah, so she's over in Sweden at the moment visiting my other brother. But in saying that, I did go visit my grandmother, I should say.
Okay.
So at least something.
I visited my mother and my grandmother, so happy Mother's Day to you guys.
See, I feel that's where the scam really gets high end. We even have to go to the grandmother too. They should just be like, it's consumerism, I tells you,
He's always thinking about the hustle, this guy.
That's right.
Always.
He knows when things are legit and when just people are being taken advantage of.
It's just Western consumerism, just like Christmas and all the other holidays. Easter's all about selling chocolate.
All of them Hanukkah.
That one's about...
But all of them are
stuff.
created by Hallmark cards, right? to get it all happening, buy the cards and $6 a card. I mean, printed for 30 cents.
$6 if you're lucky. If you want to really impress mum, you got to get the $12 card.
The one that actually has like the audio that plays as well.
Oh, so good. Dude, I remember I was watching, I don't know if you guys ever seen Swift and Shift Couriers.
Yes, that was one of my favourite shows on SBS.
So bloody good. They had it was the final episode of season 1, and I don't know if you've seen this, Riz, but have you ever seen Fat Pizza?
Yeah, it's the same guys. I think I've seen them, yeah.
Anyway, the last episode, it's like a Christmas party, and Abdul's like the Muslim guy on the show. No offense.
Yeah.
And he rocks up to the Christmas party, and he's like, Santa Claus is bullshit, American propaganda. He's like, enough of this Christmas music. He starts putting on Arabic music and starts playing dancing. It was so good. It was really well written. Clever show, but no, it was definitely funny. But just because you brought in that, and you guys are Hallmark cards.
I was bringing it from Superwog as well, where the Superwog dad's like, it's a scam. They want you to stop working and spend more money.
Oh, what? It's our live has ended. We'll have to go again.
You have a lot of technical issues here.
Yeah, it's really odd. I don't know why it's doing that. Actually, really kind of strange. But anyway, we'll continue as per normal with the show. We're going to get on to our topics that we do on a
regular basis.
On a regular basis of our Sunday kickbacks, which is the what would you rather's. First, what would you rather cap off the rank? Now, I know this is one that you're going to struggle with, Anthony.
Okay.
Volvo 850R wagon or Mitsubishi Legnum VR4?
850R.
Why the 850R? I need to know why.
Because Legnums are an absolute prick to work on.
Simple as that?
Yeah, pretty much.
They do go good, though.
They do, but just like we did say, they are an absolute prick to work on. There is no room in that engine bay. And I don't know, I guess once you go to that 850R, it's a box. There is aerodynamics of a brick. And there's something about beating somebody in a brick that you just got to go with.
850R has got racing pedigree in the wagon form, believe it or not. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the British touring car, just like a Volvo up on two wheels. There's some pretty cool pictures of it. The 850R in particular was a very interesting car. 5-cylinder turbo. Took really, really well to mods.
Yeah, very, very easy to modify. Normally just by doing the intercooler, you jump it by about 30 or 40 kilowatts through the engine.
So that's an incredible gain. I know with the Legnum, they're a twin turbo V6. They do take well to mods, but they don't take well to torque. So you need to really build them if you want to get that big amount of power. What about you guys? What do you think?
It's a Volvo, though. Do you really want a box?
That is
yes.
The Legnum looks nice. Really nice.
It is a good car, Legnum.
And if you just, if you're getting somebody else to work on the car, who cares? It's going to break their hands, not yours. I mean, as long as you can get a decent cost price to the fixings, of course, because you don't want to pay an arm and a leg to change out, some spark plugs or something else.
Well, I guess as well, at least when it comes to the Volvo, obviously the Legnums are Japanese delivered and they are few and far between. Not to say that the Volvo aren't either, but they do have a lot of interchangeable parts which do help.
What do you think, Riz?
Nissan Stasia. We're talking wagons. We're talking square boxy things.
Fine. HSV Club Sport wagon.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
That's right.
We'll play that game.
I'm all aboard the LS thing. But if you had to choose one, Riz, what would it be?
Probably be the VR4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, or
Legnums. They're rare.
They are.
I mean, the Volvos are as well. Don't get me wrong.
I was just about to say you're very much on a lucky streak if you manage to find an 850R.
Yeah. No, there's not many of those around at all. I completely agree. But yeah, just something about the JDM spec Legnum VR4. They're 4-wheel drives, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Evo wagon.
Yeah, I mean they are pretty cool. They come with the V6. Thing is, the 850R is front-wheel drive. So you're essentially getting, I believe they're less power too.
A piece of shit. Well, as you said, you're gonna add
significantly different in age as well.
You're gonna throw in that intercooler, add the 30, 40 extra kilowatts, and then you talk steer into a wall.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
And Well, if it's you doing it, nothing of value was lost. But some of us,
Ooh, shots fired.
That's fine.
Matt will remember this.
I will.
Sorry, Anthony will remember this. I'm not being racist. I swear.
Always got to bring the race card into it, Alan. Always got to bring the race card.
That's black, isn't it?
I gotta do it before.
That's his line. That's his line. Oh my god.
It's, real brown people hustle here.
Hey, I do actually have Mauritian in me, so that
130, yeah.
No, it's like
I think
1/512th.
it sounds about right.
1/512. Well, it's in there somewhere. But yeah, I'm sure everybody's got a bit of everything. Yeah, it'll be really cool. I've always been interested to do those ancestry tests. Yeah, just to see what the hell you come from. It'd be a lot of people would be like, I'm fully this, and they'll come up with
I'm fully sick.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Fully sick.
Fully sick and a bit. You got to put the and a bit. My next one is well. Before we get to this, Alan, you've got a car that you've been on loan, and it was actually in my what would you rather's for this week. It's an brand new Hyundai i30. Really, really impressive car.
Yeah, so I've had the car for 3 days now. Picked it up on Friday morning from a rental company. I won't name them.
Don't give them a plug.
Are they quick?
You could say. But yeah, overall, I've enjoyed the car a hell of a lot. It's the car was given to me to replace a Suzuki SX4, and it just shits on the Suzuki.
Yeah.
Like, in every way, the Suzuki would disappoint you in every aspect compared to this car. And I never, thought I'd be, spruiking a Hyundai, but here we are. The car, like, the interior feels really nice. All the buttons and everything else feel really nice. It's got 120 kilowatts of power for a small 4-door.
2 litres, yeah.
It goes real nice. It's not going to win you a drag race against an XR6, but, you're not struggling to overtake on the freeway or anything like that.
Yeah.
And you can also get it to hit up the traction control in the wet. Not that I condone doing that if you've got a rental car.
No.
And overall, the car rides really well. Damn, good fuel economy. It was getting close to, I think we were doing 6.2 litres per 100 Ks.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, so just in every aspect, like I said, the car's replacing the Suzuki SX4, and I don't want the Suzuki back. If they could just somehow wreck it and just say, sorry, we'll just give you some money for the car, I'd say, yes, please.
There you go.
So, given the accident I had, if I hadn't swerved out of the way, maybe I'd be looking at buying a new car. But I could have also been injured, so...
Yeah. We could have hoped.
Could have. I see how it is.
By the way, it's dropped out again.
Doesn't matter. Don't worry about that going live. It's
nobody else watching anyway.
Nobody's watching anyway. That's all good.
So just keep the recording going then.
Yeah, man. Overall, though, because you come and pick me up in it, and I was surprised at the fit and finish. 1, but 2, the quality of the materials. It feels like a really solid and decent car. Hyundai, especially, and Kia have come such a long way. Because people used to associate Koreans with just shitboxes. Let's be honest, like they weren't great. They did go okay, like reliability wise, but just they're pretty cheaply made.
Yeah, like we've all ridden in a Hyundai XL. That's
the Sexcel. The Sexcel is the best car ever.
Cracked dash. It's burning oil. The myriad of things wrong with it. It's still going.
Yeah,
but it's not a car that you want to be driving in for a long period of time. No. Whereas this, I could see myself dailying this car.
Yeah. So the level of refinement's very high. I drove this one October last year, and yeah, I found it the same. Look, I probably wouldn't with Golf 7.5 out now. It's sort of hard to the interior quality is good, but it's probably not at the Golf benchmark. Having said that, it's considerably cheaper. Like to get a Golf in an auto, you're looking at 27, 28 grand. Where this thing, you're getting it sort of loaded for about 22, 24.
That nice reversing camera and sensors, the GPS, and
Yeah, the full kit. And Alan, you mentioned earlier about the fuel economy. I mean, it's getting 6.2 litres.
Out of a 2 litre?
Yeah, out of a 2 litre engine. So what does that do? I mean, where does the diesel fit in all of this? Because diesel might do 5 litres per 100 kilometres.
The Territory's doing 7 at the moment.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Hey, we're just talking about diesel at the moment.
Yeah. So I mean, Ford finally pulled their finger out to actually put a diesel in the territory because they needed to do that. Because the other one, I think, the 4-litre, the Barra, they were getting about 14 litres or something.
It wasn't particularly great. Made the car go good, but wasn't particularly economical in that aspect.
So from what I understand, it's a Renault-derived diesel engine
In the Hyundai?
in the territory.
Oh, it's a Renault / Land Rover engine.
Yeah.
And that's why there's problems.
Okay. Cool.
It's built by Land Rover. And not having a go at British cars, but kind of having a go at British cars because they fall apart. But, I mean, yours has done, close to 200 and it's been pretty much fine, right?
For a while I've had it with my 20,000 Ks or thereabouts of driving, it's been fine. But from what I've heard from the previous person, there was a lot of issues earlier on. And I believe it did actually break down on the side of the road at one time and had to get towed. So that's going back to Renault and Land Rover.
This is actually the third engine it's on, unbeknownst to Anthony.
It's actually the third engine, and this one here's only done 10,000 Ks.
Dude, honestly, like I know people in the States and stuff like having like a massive affiliation. They'll be like, "Oh, I love like French cars, Renaults and that," but they don't realize how unreliable they are. Yeah, just not exactly in those terms quality.
Well, I know we're sort of going off topic now, talking about French cars, but I heard the Megane RS is now, I think Renault a couple of years ago released a 5-year warranty.
Really?
On their cars. But what they've just done is the global head of Renault has just come out and said that all the RSs back to 3 years.
That's
something that inspires confidence.
That's right. So, people are saying, well, hang on, why would I wait for the RS or anything like that when I can just get an i30N?
Yep,
that's true. With a track warranty.
With a track warranty, that's right. 5 years, both, I guess, normal driving and tracks. So, yeah, interesting times. How much confidence has Renault got in their product?
It's French. They're not exactly known for their reliability.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much.
Again, I can say this firsthand because I had the Peugeot 207 GTI, which does technically have a Mini Cooper S engine in it, which is actually a BMW engine. But back going down to the whole...
You're saying BMW is reliable?
No, that was basically the part that I'm getting at to, the fact that my car had 80,000 Ks on it and had the timing chain go. Yeah, don't get a 207 GTI or a Cooper S or basically anything French.
Fun little car, but not reliable.
No, the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in. I will give them credit to that. And I'm pretty sure that was the whole reason why I bought the car. But if my car doesn't go anywhere, it's pretty pointless.
Is it though? While you're waiting for that tow, you're sitting in the maximum comfort you can possibly be sitting in? I think it's something.
Yeah, but I also want to get to my destination.
When you buy a Falcon.
That's right. That's why you did buy a Falcon. The next car was Mr. XR6 Turbo. Overall, though, the i30 is really quite a good car. The previous gen, I got my uncle to buy because he was looking for a new car. I'm like, why don't you look at an i30? He was looking at Mazda 3s and they're quite pricey. And he managed to get the previous gen run out for like under 20 grand. With I mean, it was only a base model, but it was still come with Bluetooth and all these stuff you needed. Under 20 grand, pretty good buy.
That's damn good value when you consider it, especially when it's backed by a good warranty.
Yeah, 5 years.
So you've really got very little to lose in that aspect. And I was explaining to my mum because she was saying maybe we'll retire the Suzuki. I said, well, have a sit in the i30. The i30.
i30N.
I keep feeling it at the end. Maybe I'll get her to sit in an N as well, and see if I can convince her to get that. Yeah, but she wouldn't drive a manual, unfortunately. But she's still in that same mindset of, oh, it's a Hyundai. The name irks me. I said, can you give it a chance? Just if you're really looking for a new car, a new small car, and you've still got that prejudice about Hyundai, I don't blame you. But just go there, have a seat in the car, give it a drive, and then make your decision.
Well, people were pretty easygoing when they were buying Holden Cruisers and stuff. Given they were made out of a GM/Daewoo factory.
Mate, supporting Holden, mate. Aussie-made products, yeah.
And I think with the first gen of the Cruise, that was funny because they released them and everybody thought they were Australians. And then
They were made in Korea.
Yeah, then it came out that they were made in Korea, and then the public sort of got a bit antsy about it. So what Holden did was they decided to bring some of those parts here and started assembling them in Adelaide.
Even like all the Utes these days, they're made in Thailand as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. That's your Hiluxes. That's your Rangers. That's your Navs.
And are some of the Volkswagens now made in South Africa or something?
Yeah, the Golfs had been made, not this current generation, but the previous generation of Golfs were made in South Africa.
And people talking about how I don't trust this,
Well, it doesn't even matter anymore where they're made anymore, right? Because the standard of the quality is all the same where it comes from. I met a guy today. 5 years ago he bought a Volkswagen Tiguan, brand new, out of Essendon, Volkswagen, and it was his family car because they'd just had their first kid. And I saw it on car sale, so I went out to have a look at it today. And they've just had their second child, so they need a bigger car. And they bought themselves a Kia Sorento, and they love it. They've had it for about a month now.
Brand new?
Brand new. The wife's getting used to the size of it, but he said the main reason I bought this car was because the Volkswagen's run out of warranty. I need to sell it. We've never had any
break.
We've never had any issues with it. Apparently, this didn't have the DSG. It had the standard auto.
Well, it's probably a better car.
But one thing he said was that now we've just bought this car. For the next 7 years, we have a peace of mind.
Yep.
That if anything goes wrong, at least it'll sort of be covered. And that's the sort of thing. Like, I mean, Kia's pushed the boundary on warranties, and so has Hyundai. I think the rest of the brands have to catch up. This Holden BS 7-year warranty on the Commodore for a limited time only. That's not on. Like, they're not going to sell anything.
They're not.
And that's the only reason they offer the warranty in the first place.
Yeah, to make them sell
No
more.
one's buying their insignias.
Yes.
Call it a Commodore, how dare you.
It is an insignia. Like, Holden's made in the last last 2 years, some horrible judgment calls. Keeping the Commodore name, one. To bring in a product that's not a Commodore and calling it a Commodore. But also thinking that because it's Holden, it's Australia's car, people it's going to sell. It's not. People aren't. They've taken people. They think we're dumb.
Well, they stopped buying it a long time ago. I mean, that's the reason why.
Commodore was still a strong seller before, though, Riz.
Yeah, no, it was. But close to the end of EE and probably VFs, nobody really wanted to buy them anymore. I mean, they were good sellers because the wagons were awesome,
A good car,
lots of space, and all the rest of it. That's a mistake I think Ford made when they stopped making the Falcon wagon. But yeah, I don't know. Like, with obviously the end of production in Australia, a lot of people lost a lot of faith in the brand. Holden's tried to do a whole lot of things. Like, even recently, I don't know if you guys heard, they introduced this whole order a car online thing.
Yeah, I did hear. I did see that.
It's just they're doing whatever they can. And then I think last week or the week before on the podcast we spoke about Maven, their sort of leasing division.
Yep.
Where you could lease a car and you pay a certain amount every month, and that includes everything. And you can sort of have a 6-month or 12-month leasing agreement, and then after that just get another Holden. But even all of these things are not working because people or the public is confused now. What is Holden and what does it stand for, type thing.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with you there. But also, they're still going on the whole idea of we're pretty much just Australia's car, and it's not anymore. And the fact of the matter is that they're so arrogant that they're going to think they're still going to sell like that. It's a complete it's idiotic.
Mm.
What can you do though? But Korean cars have come a long way, even though from where they used to get no respect at all. People take them seriously. People, you're right, Riz. People want that peace of mind with a 7-year warranty, and that's why they'll buy new cars. You're buying a car, just it shouldn't break, and if it does, you go take it back and say, fix it. It's what I'm buying your product. You got to stand by your product, and offering for like a limited time, 7 years and stuff. It's kind of a bit, it's like we're trying to push the car on the people.
It's getting that FOMO. It's like, oh no, I'll miss out on the warranty. Just don't buy the car. Buy something else.
Cool. Well, we're going to go on to our next topic of the night. Also, next, what would you rather? Now, being talking in the i30, it is the i30's in it. So, current gen, I'm talking these cars in base model form, yeah. Hyundai i30, Toyota Corolla, Mazda 3, Volkswagen Golf. Base models like poverty pack, out the door, just and all in a manual.
Current gen?
Current gen.
They are all very POV. Like, very, very POV.
In poverty pack spec, yeah.
Yeah, very POV. I don't know, I'd probably still be leaning towards the Hyundai, because they have picked up the specs significantly for what you get for your POV pack. Whereas everybody else, it's still pretty very POV. So I don't know. It's very, very close between them all. I guess when you get to maintenance on the car itself, the Golf's going to be the most expensive. Mazda's probably not going to be too far behind that. And then you're probably on equal playing fields between the Toyota and the Hyundai. But for bang for buck for what you're probably going to get out of it, for what you're paying, you're probably going to look at the best out of the Hyundai.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because just even letting go of a few of the features I have in the current Hyundai I'm driving, I could still see myself rocking that car as you said, if it's comparing against the other base models. That car's probably offering you a good amount of bang for buck compared to the rest. But I also could see the Mazda 3 because that's just all around a good car.
It is.
It's definitely more expensive. Even in the POV pack, it still comes, I believe, at still a premium to the Hyundai at the very least.
It is a better driving experience though. They're a lot more driver focused car. The Mazda out of all these ones is probably the best driver's car.
Agreed.
But in terms of what you get now, it is a few years old and it hasn't sold as well as the previous gen. The previous BL series was like the number one. So it actually took the crown of Toyota's Corolla for a while. But the latest one hasn't sold as strongly. But they still reckon it's got the most gutsy-ish engine, and
I'd probably even say finish is probably out a little bit above as well.
Yeah. No, Mazda's always had a good finish, and when people compare Toyota and Mazda, they'll say, they're both quite reliable, but the Mazda's that bit more refined or that bit more finished, rather than your standard Toyota.
And I guess that partly comes into how one of the biggest markets for Mazda is Australia.
Right.
They're not as popular around the rest of the world, so they want to hold on to that kind of kingship. So they do put a little bit more effort in. Even their dealership experience, from what I've seen, in some ways they're kind of arseholy, like to people working around like contractors and everything else. But they seem to behave very professionally with their customers, but they're almost to the point where they're even more than, say, a luxury car dealership.
And I think with their dealership experience, a lot of their dealers, they don't have that many of them. Like Hyundai might have a lot of dealers, Holden's got a lot, Toyota's got a lot of dealers. But the Mazda dealers, they've only got a set few, and they're all sort of owned by one individual.
They're like a family run.
So a lot of them are sort of, and Mazda's done it very smartly that way, because if you get big groups owning a lot of them, then that deters the sort of the experience that people have. So you might have Max Kervin's Mazda, and you might have
Ringwood Mazda.
Yeah, Ringwood Mazda. So these guys generally own family-owned type dealers, so they've got to give good service that comes with that, rather than being part of a large group and they think they're too big. That's that type of thing. From my end, I'd go for the i30. If it's $22,000 for manual base spec, you get a lot of car for your money.
For me, that's a hard one. I mean, I do like the Mazda because I've had a strong affiliation with Mazda 3s. They are a good car to drive. Like they drive really nicely. But I've been in the latest Corolla. Bit boring. That's much better than the previous gen. Tyrone of the show, he bought a 11 ZR top of the range with the moonroof and stuff. Really nice car. Golfs, your brother's one really surprised me. Quite a nice car. I knew Golfs coming into this were that little bit nicer, but you're not getting that lengthy warranty as you would be in the and it's a lot more expensive for a base model than you got your for example i30, which you're getting a lot more kit. So that leaves me. So that rules out the Corolla. That rules out the Golf, and leaves me with the Mazda and the i30. And I was going to, I got to tell you, I like both cars, but after being in that in your one, even though it was a rental, but seeing the amount of kit you get for the money, and the fact that you get a 5-year warranty, I'm going to be on the i30 side there. It's a win for Hyundai, but the thing is they're not selling them, which is really really weird. Like they're really, if you bargain hard enough, you'll be able to get one cheap.
I feel people just, if they're looking for a car, they need a. I think there's a lot of people that buy a car without even test driving them.
Oh, tons do.
I think that's the most moronic thing you can do. How are you going to know if you're going to like the car without actually driving it? Like, just go drive some cars. Sometimes, if the dealer's being, a bit of an asshole, just go to some other dealer. Definitely test drive every single car you're considering to buy. Don't just, make a decision on a whim.
So we've got two i30s here. Anthony, what are you going to go with?
It really is, again, same situation between the Mazda and the i30.
The Mazda is the better driving car, though.
Yeah, a little bit better driving car, and probably, again, that little bit more refined inside comparative. But, again, bang for your buck, it's going to be the Hyundai. So, not far off, but I'm going to be leaning more towards Hyundai.
I'll give it to the Hyundai.
Yeah?
Yeah, given how much I've been, pleasantly surprised so far, I'll give it to the Hyundai.
It is a good car, except, we spoke about this previously on the show. They've marketed that car all wrong. Stupidly, the marketing was you spoke to one of the guys, Rizal, at a Hyundai dealership, and he was like, "What the hell were they thinking?"
Yeah, and that's what happened. The first big ad and all the campaign they did, it was a reinvent car, which is what their slogan was, that it's completely reinvented. But then the ad, like 80% of the initial ad they had, was showing the old car, rather than showing people what the new car looks like.
Yeah. And I reckon they should do a similar thing. Was it Opel that did it when they started up here? Where they told you to bring in your car, take an Opel home for a few days, and come back and tell them if you loved it or not.
The German exchange program, they call it.
Yeah, you should do the Korean exchange. I mean, it's probably not. Yeah, it's good. It's probably not a good idea to name it that, but just give people a chance to feel the car. Like, I've had the car for 3 days. I absolutely love it. Like, I could have this as a daily, right now.
6,000 cases done too. Like,
yeah,
it's been run in, and
so just giving people an experience who are looking to change up their car, not giving them like a 10-minute test drive where you just tell them where to go and what to do. Just let them take the car out. They will, the car's good enough to the point where they will accept it.
Yeah, so I think that's a surprising one. Koreans have won.
They have.
i30 across the board.
That's a change. Koreans win something.
Jeez.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Yeah. Have you guys got any what would you rather's? Because I've got a couple more, but I'll let you guys, if you've got one, you can put yours in.
Nothing off the top of my head. No.
Anthony.
Well, again, I guess you've still got the option of the wagons, but again, you've really got your three. Actually, that's a lie. You've got 4 wagons. You've got your Stagia, you've got your Caldina, you've got your Legnum, and then they were never actually delivered here in Australia, but Evo wagon. So I guess really you've got your 4 pinnacle car companies. Where would you guys sit if they were your 4 options? I know we've gone over the Stagia before, whether it be a C34 or an M35, either way. Yeah, where would you go? Would you rather go Evo, Stagia, Caldina, or Legnum?
That's a hard one. I mean, I've been in the obviously your M30
M35.
The Evo was the like you're talking Mitsubishi Evo? Yeah.
Evo wagon was never actually allowed for Australian delivery, but it's the same Evo but a station wagon.
I mean, out of all those ones, the ones that Evo for me, because I've been in an Evo 9, and it's essentially it's the same car, just with a wagon form. They're just stupid. Like, they are so fast. Just for the pure brutality of them and the way they handle, they're not as boaty as the other ones. I'd be Evo all day.
I'd get the Subaru Levorg tuned by STI. And
with the CVT?
Yeah, we'll change that for a manual, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, I'll probably go for Stagia.
C34 or M35? Old shapes C34, like a...
Oh, yeah, the boxier one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Boxer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just, I mean, I find them pretty rare. When you do see one, you're like, yeah, that's cool. Did they come in the yellow?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they look alright.
And you put the R34 front on it.
Yeah, everybody does those. I'd still be sticking between the Stagia and Evo. I've always been interested with the Evos and really disappointed that they were never actually allowed for import. But in saying that, I mean, you could always import just a half cut and then just do an engine swap on a already Lancer Australian delivered one, and
it's a lot of effort.
Yeah, but it's.
I mean, at that point, you could probably just cut the boot off the Evo and just make yourself
just weld on the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work too. That would work. But it's not all-wheel drive though.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the Evo wagon obviously is all-wheel drive, but the Australian delivered ones, they're not all-wheel drive because they never actually released an Evo wagon in Australia.
So you buy the Evo and you throw the body of.
So the whole point would be you would get you would get a full cut that you couldn't actually road register, and then just change over the. Actually, probably your best way about doing it would just be change the VIN numbers and plates on it. Would be a lot easier and quicker.
We don't condone this.
But we're not condoning this. We're talking about in Mexico.
Yes.
That's a whole different system.
If you're in Mexico, you can just scratch off the VIN number.
You don't care.
Yeah, but no, I would be leaning towards Evo, just for something different. And an Evo wagon is pretty boss, so even though I do love my Stages.
Yeah, so I think we're Evo and Stagia definitely. They made some really cool wagons that people haven't really given a lot of respect to. The Japanese, they've done some really really cool cars over the years.
Oh, another one to throw in there, Toyota Crown Athlete.
Yes, with the 1JZ.
Or they got the 1JZ, and then they've got the 1UZ is the V8 version.
Yeah.
Just to throw it out there.
And they're not much money. You can get them here landed quite cheap.
Yeah, for about $10,000 with they're down tuned to I think 230 kilowatts.
Jeez.
Down tuned.
Yes, down tuned. Yeah, and they're very easy to flash and modify, but you can get them here with like 60,000 Ks for like $10,000.
Why don't you consider one of those?
I don't know.
They're in the order, aren't they?
Yeah. It is still tempting because, I mean, it is a Toyota Crown and they are everything under the sun they have in there. But, I don't know.
Japanese rolls.
Yeah.
It essentially is. Should we talk about custom cars and coffee?
Sure.
Well, yesterday we went down to Sandown Raceway, Danny Long Way. It's every 2 monthly, isn't it?
Every 2 months.
Yeah. Custom cars and coffee. So I rolled in the I-30 with Mr. Allen here. Met up with Uriz, met up with a few other people I've seen there. Got there, saw some really really cool cars. They had I was really surprised is the quality of cars, but they had a bit of everything. It was really really interesting meet. I get there and we bump into Paul Marek from Car Advice, and he's like, "Oh yeah, do the usual greetings. What you been doing?" And he asked me about the show. And he's like, watch this, and there's this lady been trying to park for I don't know how many minutes. It was a V8. Was it a V8 Vantage? I believe it was a V8 Vantage Aston Martin, and the clutch. She was riding the clutch like no tomorrow. Now I'm no car expert, cough, but that is definitely not good for the car. And Paul was like this. He's like to me. Look at this. Like, you were there, Alan. He's like, look at this. He's got no clue.
And it's pretty funny all around because there were other people, bringing in their cars. So some of them were just revving them just for the fun of it. And initially, it was just like somebody just revving their Aston Martin. No, it's just a lady just trying to park.
Yeah, it's See, this meet is really interesting because it's not like your other JDM spec meets, which are. As people are driving in, they're sort of revving their cars and stuff. So very rarely you'll see that. It's a very classy sort of family sort of orientated meet. And the kind of cars a lot of the cars there are really really cool. Like you just wouldn't see them at your standard Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, no one's going to bring a Countach to start a Cars and Coffee.
I mean, we saw a Countach. We saw some like a
XJR, was it?
XJR Jag, yeah.
Jag.
So Anthony would have been happy if he would have seen that.
The Benz GTS.
Yes, yeah. A few other Lambos. There was
Huracan.
There was a Huracan, yeah. There was a few Audi R8s, a few GTRs.
Saw NSX.
Yeah, there was an NSX there, yeah. And then we walked past, and was it you Alan, that said, "Oh, is it your daddy?"
Yeah, so as we were walking and towards the further end of the lot, a bunch of younger gentlemen, rocked up in, I believe there was an Audi R8 and a GTR and something else.
And the NSX, yeah.
NSX, and I said, "Do your dads know you stole their cars?
Yeah.
The Cars and Coffee."
Well, did you? Speaking of that, did you hear about the guy that got as a graduation gift and he got a Lamborghini, I believe, Huracan, and like the first day he got it, he was doing 200 and like something kilometers per hour and got caught and got his car impounded.
Where was this?
I think it was in Sydney.
So who gives their son a Huracan as a graduation gift?
Me.
Oh, are we taking pics on race at this point?
Oh, there we go. That's true.
Well, you could if you want to, because.
We've got a couple of ideas, but we won't.
Yes,
we won't start.
we won't go there.
Do any of them own a kebab shop?
No, it wasn't that race, believe it or not.
All right.
But yeah, it was. He's had it one day. He's got caught doing 200. It's something you'd do, Anthony.
I just wouldn't get caught.
Just keep going.
Because that's hard to find. A Huracan, it's hard
Bright
to
yellow.
Bright yellow. It's hard to identify the person who would be driving that. How many? There's so many registered. You wouldn't be able to spot.
Well, look again. You need to find out where I am when I stop.
I'd say a helicopter can follow pretty good.
Yeah, but it depends how quick, how smart you are when you drive as well.
Go into the tunnel and just stay there.
So
They'll never find you.
I'd estimate that there wouldn't be more than 15 yellow Huracans registered in any given vicinity in Sydney.
In Australia?
Yeah, probably in Australia, but let's just say there's a bunch of rich people in Sydney doing dumb shit. But so I don't think it's that hard to go around to the 15 people when trying to get an alibi for where they were when the incident happened.
Just say that somebody was borrowing your car and you don't know who it was.
You just report the car as stolen immediately.
Or,
Not that we're condoning hustling activity, but
Hustling.
if someone was to break the law, you then it may behoove you to report your car as stolen and just leave it somewhere.
Or alternatively, you just say that you were at a swingers party and they had like the whole drop your keys in the bowl sort of situation. And you just say, I don't know, I dropped them in there and somebody took the car and I don't know who it was.
So nobody's going to ask the question what you were doing at the swingers party?
Well, that would be the awkward conversation, but
My problem isn't the swingers party, Anthony. In an insurance case, you're not supported because you left your keys there.
Well, you worked in insurance, Anthony. You don't answer this.
You wouldn't be.
Have you been in a swingers party before? Wait, but that's the question I want to know the answer for too first.
No, but I do have a few friends who were...
friends!
No.
Close acquaintances.
I actually use this one legitimately. What?
Fanthony.
No, this is actually one of my legitimate mates, Jackson. I hope he doesn't actually hear this of me promoting it. But he was
You didn't
actually...
have to give a name.
I know, but I had to do it as well, because it just makes it that much easier. But, no, he was actually... he's a great guy, weird unit, and he knows I mean well by it too. I've gone through about 5 different companies together. Best guy ever. But I actually remember there was one conversation where he was like, "Oh, I'm considering going down to a swingers party. I need to have a few people to come down with me as well. Got any people who'd be interested, or would you like to come around as well?"
Takes two to tango.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know whether I actually followed through with it or not. That was the only. Obviously, I didn't attend for my
He
own.
says...
Just cover that sort of situation.
We know you were there, Anthony. We know what you've been doing.
So that's where my Lamborghini went.
But yeah,
I'd go down to the suicide just to check it and be like, okay, you people are definitely messed up. Thank you very much. I'm on my way.
Now I'll take my Lamborghini and I will leave.
Well, speaking of swingers parties, you ever guys see Louis Theroux?
Louis Theroux,
Yeah,
yes.
he did like a swingers thing, and he went, and it's just like all sorts of random shit. I'm like, what the hell? But each to their own. If you're into that, Anthony, I know you are now.
How you doing, Matt?
How you doing? Slightly creeped out by now. But yeah, that'd be interesting though. Like, Anthony, would you be covered?
Well, look, it depends on your insurance provider, I guess.
Imagine calling up the insurance company. Well,
am I covered for swingers party? No, legitimately though, under insurance policies, some places don't cover unlisted drivers. Yet other insurance companies will cover drivers even if they're not listed on the policy. There just may be a higher excess.
But theft, they've still got your keys theft.
In regards to the theft in that instance, you wouldn't technically call it theft because you're voluntarily, doing access to the car there. So
wait, the car's part of the swinging?
Well, you know what you're getting yourself into, if you know what I mean.
See, my thing was just you leave your keys there so no one pulls a runner.
I think if you're going to a swingers party, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Exactly. And let's be honest, I think in that situation, you probably got other things to worry about than your car.
So this has gone from CarTorque
to swingers party.
Swingers advice,
So now we're changing topics. So that was the end of the 100th of CarTorque with Matty J, and we're now on to swingers talks.
We're going to be hit with 100,000 new viewers that are more interested in the swingers advice.
It'd be a lot more interesting, put it that way. Then,
Jeez.
Or we could start car swinging where people just lend each other their cars and just.
That's a thing.
Yeah, there is actually a Tinder app for cars for people to swap cars.
I don't know if I trust someone.
I wouldn't trust anyone.
Having said that, a guy swapped his Ferrari 458 for a Lambo for like a couple of days.
So that's more of an equivalent kind of swap where I could see that going down.
Good.
I want to swap my AU Falcon for a Lamborghini. I don't think that's going to work.
AU for life.
AU for the win.
I'll throw on a slab too, your way.
Slab of VB.
There's 6 Winnie Blues in the back. I counted them.
Sold. Do you mind if I take one on the way? Traveller, I'm gonna have a traveller. But no, that's yeah, that'd be an interesting one. I'd actually want to find out from an insurance company. I'd be like, look, theoretically, if I was at a swingers party,
Theoretically.
Now who's the one who's theoretical?
Well, theoretically speaking, I'm interested because I want to know what the answer is. This is a big CarTorque topic right now. Hashtag trending.
I feel it falls onto, as Anthony said, like, is it
Negligence.
you consented them to take your car, whereas then they're, I guess, an unlisted driver, or you didn't consent them to take your car, the keys were just in the bowl, and then you kind of just negligently left your keys in a bowl.
Well, this is the whole thing. Yeah, because I mean, really, if somebody just walked up and took your car keys, who are you going to know? But then in that instance, it's theft. I got no. I'm assuming. I got actually no idea. I got no idea where I'm going with this.
It'll be theft, but you know what's weird though? It's like a lot of people that have done insurance inverted commas jobs. For example, dumping your car in the Yarra River, when they go to scoop out the cars, they check if the keys are in the ignition, and if you're dumb enough to try and do an insurance job and leave your key in the ignition, you'll be done for insurance fraud and potentially go to jail. And it's been proven. Like people have gone to haven't been able to afford the repayments, I'd say, or another issue, or they've bought a car of unreliableness and have just rebirth. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that people do. But yeah, we might have to get in contact. We should just ask your brother to come on the show because he'd know this stuff.
No, I don't think he'd know to that extent. Not anymore. He hasn't done.
Because he hasn't been to a swingers party yet.
But that now,
as far as you know, Anthony.
I mean, we're not doing insurance advice for swingers anymore. But just quickly on that, because as you said, if your keys are in the ignition, if somebody breaks into your house and steals your keys and steals your car, are you responsible for that?
No, well, it's still theft.
It's still theft. So if the keys are in the ignition, then do you then just have to prove that your house was broken into?
But if you're reporting your car was stolen, not with like a
forced entry
or anything, then and then they still find your keys in the ignition, then it's a bit sus. So I guess that's where that.
So what you do is leave your car in the wrong suburb, and as kids run to get into it, you say, "Can you just take the keys out of the ignition when you dump it?"
Yeah, just keep the keys. But having said that, you probably wouldn't want to do that anyway because
that's illegal. We don't promote doing illegal things. Speaking
of that, we had I had a lady come into work yesterday, and you're not going to believe this. She came into work and she wanted to buy some anti-theft screws for a license plate, and I'm like, oh yeah, Elliot served them. He's like, yeah, they're over here, and she had brand new plates in her hand, And she's like, "Oh, I've had the weirdest kind of like last few days." I'm like, "Why?" She's like to me, "Well, I rocked up." She's like, "My daughter's staying with me at the moment, and I rocked up home yesterday, and I looked at the back of her car, and her car's got New South Wales plates on it." And she's like to me, "I wasn't sure if it was her car, but it looked like her car was the same car." So I went upstairs, parked my car, went upstairs, got her key out, and tried to open the car, and it opened. So she's like, "What the fuck? This makes no sense." She calls the daughter. "Does your car have New South Wales plates?" She's like, "No." Calls the cops. Cops get there. "Oh yeah, these plates are stolen. Stolen off the same make and model of the car, and they've driven it from. It's a stolen car. Must be driven it from Sydney. Found the same car, changed the plates, so they could and put those plates on the stolen car, and have kept going to get a bit more time."
That is like high-end hustle.
What the hell?
That is dodgy as the. Why would you put plates on the car though?
I think I can't even answer that to you.
If they were like Victorian plates, I could still understand a little bit that maybe the person isn't paying attention. The same kind of plate, and you're throwing on, they just jump in their car and you get some time. But if you're putting a different state's plates on somebody's car, they're gonna know.
Well, the thing is, the car was stolen from New South.
Yeah,
so they've driven it down to Melbourne.
They just taken the Vic plates and just run off, not putting the time and effort into screwing,
Screwing it back on.
And for those of you who are international and things of that nature, the New South Wales plates are like yellow.
Yellow with black.
The Victorian ones are white with blue. So
you can tell.
Very distinct colour difference.
But yeah, kind of a random story.
Also, for future reference, instead of actually going to Super Cheap or anything like that to buy the anti-theft license plates,
get them from the coppers.
Go down to the co-op shop. They're free.
Yep,
You heard it here first.
It's another CarTorque top tip.
And you get a free defect on the side too. So if you've got a car that's a little more modified, probably just go down to a Super Cheap or a Bunnings and get your anti-theft screws there.
Yeah,
or just drive another car or walk down.
I remember
Park around a corner.
Or steal someone's plates and put the plates on the other car and screw it back on. But I felt bad for that lady though, because she's like to me, I've had to go because you have to buy new plates as well.
Look at the cost isn't much. I think it's like $15 or $25.
Nah, it's like for standard issue they're like 33 or 35. And if you want to get slimlines, it's like $70 or something. So, but you know what? It's the fact that they actually did that. I mean, it's a legit hustle. Like they're buying themselves more time, but. Far out, like what the hell? I mean, that's as bad as when someone stole my license plate covers like the other week. They didn't take my license plates; they took the covers instead.
The only time I feel real bad about, I guess, any kind of license plate theft's bad, but if a person's got custom plates, and you can obviously get them remade, that's not an issue, but then you have to sign off on the fact that if the person who stole it put them on a car that's similar to yours or exactly the same as yours, you're probably going to be liable for any fines.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're, on the other side of the city, they're going to be after you.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a catch-22 with those. So make it 10.
So everyone get the anti-theft screws in.
Go and see Maddie.
Which aren't that hard to actually undo, are they? Because you just got to drill them out.
No. There's a tool. There's a tool for them.
There's actually a tool because they only screw on one way.
Yeah. So can you drill in like with the tap kit and just drill it out? Because I'd do that personally if I was going to steal somebody's plates or something, which I'm not going to do.
True hustle, right there.
Well, if you do like my dad did, because we didn't have the tool, and my dad
like when you strip a screw, you can drill into it,
and
quickly undo it,
and undo it that way. Yeah,
it's like a 2-minute job.
Well, I mean, it's more of a deterrent than anything else, really. But my dad got out the old pliers and like vice grips and like clipped onto it, and managed to pull it off. But we got new plates for my sister's car, custom plates for her 18th. And we went to. She's like to me, "Matt, could you change it for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." So I call up Vickers. I'm like, "Yeah, I was signing these plates to the car." They're like, "Yeah, that's fine." Go to do it, and I realise that her car's got anti-theft screws, and my dad's at home, and I'm like, "Crap! How the hell do I get these things off? I can't drive the car now because it's got not registered." So I'm like, shit. So I Google it, search. So I'm like, "What can you do?" I ended up calling Brody Cop Shop, and I'm like, "Do you guys have the anti-theft removal tool?" Like, yeah. It's before we had it at my place of work, and I'm like, "Well, here's my problem." They're like, "I see. just drive down as fast, well, not as fast as you can, but as quickly as possible, and we won't kind of defect you or tell you off because you've told us that you're coming down to use it. I waited in the cop shop for close to 45 minutes because they were busy with other people, being a busy police station.
Broadmeadows.
Yes.
Respect. Northern suburbs.
That's that northern hustle right there. Got out, eventually got the tool, changed it in like a minute, went back in there and like, oh, thank you. I had to leave my license up so that I didn't steal the tool. Put the new ones on, and yeah, that was it. But man, I feel bad for that lady, and we charged her a fitment fee to put her license plates back on. I felt so bad for her. Reese was like, "No, we're gonna do it." So, but yeah. Long story short, would you guys be that legit in your hustles and go steal another plate from the same? Look, I mean, they must have been looking for the same car.
Of course, you would take the same car. Like, if you were to do such a thing, you would look for the same car to be able to, stretch that hustle a little bit longer until the plates get reported stolen. But
oh, far out! I just love.
I would not go to the effort of them screwing the old plates onto this car.
I love the thought, though. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's like, we're going to give these people a hard time. Let's make their time a little bit easier. Let's screw the plates back on the car. Oh man, that's good job. Good job to you fellow good citizens.
See, the ideal hustle is you find two cars that look the same. You steal one's plates, put them on yours. You steal another's plates and put them on the car you stole the original plates from. Yeah, because they won't notice, hopefully.
Actually, one of the plates will be from WA, the other one will be from New South. And then just get a Tassie one in there just for the sake of it.
Just have them all over the back window.
Now we're getting to the heritage plate territory. So a bunch of plates at home from other states.
Speaking of that, would you have to pay Vic Roads like $100,000 each time to replace it? I mean, like, they're not cheap. If they were to like get stolen or get broken, I mean, I'd be bloody pissed because my plates are worth more than my car. Like that AU Ute. They had the heritage plates on there.
I'd say the market value is probably just inflated by people. So, but you definitely have to pay more than the $30. So they probably charge you a couple of grand. They know you can pay.
Yeah.
They know you can pay.
I've got heritage number 1. Oh, okay, that's $1 million plate.
$6 million to replace.
But it's been stolen. I don't care. That's the price. That is the price. Last, what would you rather of the night? Interesting one. 3 cars you can get in a manual. 3 inline 6 turbocharged. Different body styles. 4-door, 2 coupes, but one's a small coupe, one's like a larger coupe. One's all-wheel drive, 2 rear-wheel drive.
I'm listening.
You're listening. So these are rear-wheel drive, 6-cylinder turbo sports cars / sports sedans. All around the same money if you find a top spec version of each. I mean, the first one I'm going to say is a bit cheaper, but there's still some up there for about $60,000 that have done like no kilometers. So the first one's the F6 310 Series 2 Mark II manual. So 2012, 2013, 310 kilowatts, Barra TR6060 rear-wheel drive. Next one is the R34 GTR. Now, I know how much you like this car, but the reason I'm bringing the GTR in it is because the GTSTs are worth nothing, and we're talking price range here. You can still get some 34s for about $80,000, which is quite a lot of money still, but you can still get them. RB26, 206 inverted kilowatts, gentleman's agreement kilowatts, all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual. We're not talking V-spec, we're just talking just plain GTR. Final car is a lot of people's favourite car of the moment. The current BMW M2. Inline 6, turbo, manual, rear-wheel drive, smaller car. It's based on a 2 Series. But if you're looking at it compared to like a previous gen E36 or E30 BMW M3, about the same size. So, makes really, really good power. I believe 300 and... I can't remember off the top of my head the exact amount of power, but they do make good power. Surprisingly good torque as well. But here's the issue: one car is close to 20 years old. One car is close to, let's say 6. Well, in that bracket, let's say 10 years old, and one's a brand new car. All around the same money.
Can we throw the XR6 Sprint in there instead of the F6?
That's probably be a good one to put in. But they only they don't come manual though.
That's terrible. Cancel that.
Yeah, the XR6 sprints only came auto, whereas the XR8 sprints came manual and auto, which is really.
That doesn't make any sense.
Fucking forward, like they do some weird shit. Anthony's shaking his head. So you've got an M2 there. How much are they going for? 90.
That's 2017. They're asking 90 grand for this one with 3,000 Ks on it.
How many kilowatts you got? And torque output. They're a good looking car too.
Yeah, they are. 7-speed auto, this particular one. So 272.
Okay.
465 Nm, 0 to 104.3.
Not bad at all. This is a really interesting one. They have three different cars, but three similar cars in terms of power. I guess being 4-seaters majority, they're still quite practical. If you can call coupes practical, but like they kind of still are. You can still fit people in there. Plenty of power, really cool chassis, good engines. I mean, theoretically, we're talking about three kind of legendary engines here, like the BMW inline 6 turbo is a good engine, even though it's known to make some really, really good power. Having a few little issues, especially earlier on, but the M2 seems to be quite sorted. So, I'll leave it to you boys, and I'll give you my verdict.
I do like the 34. I mean, they are always a tasteful car. I guess you'd say when you get to the F6, it's a little bit more brutish overall, but it's still, you see so many of them around. But the M2, on the other hand, you don't really see too many of them around, and a lot more refined, and I guess you'd say a little bit more style behind it. I'd be going the M2.
M2? I mean, theoretically, the F6 is a rarer car than the M2. You know that, right? But
well, obviously because they're still making them, the
M2s.
M2s. Yeah. The S6 is still good, and again, I've got a XR6 turbo, so I've still got the same Barrett engine in it, and I know how good they are. But still, I don't know. I'm just looking at the images of the M2 at the moment.
Looking car, the M2.
They are a very nice car. I guess as well, you would still say they are relatively brutish as well. They're very bold. Yeah, I'd be rocking the coupe over the 4-door F6, but
over the GDR.
Still over the GDR too, I think.
Just because of age? Or?
Yeah, only for the age purpose. Obviously, if we're talking newer generation GDRs, it's a different story. But when you start getting that little bit older, as cool as they are, I don't know. I do like the lines of the M2, and they got good power figures.
I mean, it's an M car. M cars are known to have good chassis and good control, so I think that's a pretty solid choice. Alan?
Well, the F6 has heart, but the GTR is football in the groin. The Simpsons reference aside,
I know you're a GDR fanboy.
I'm a GDR fanboy, and I'm going to get to this decision roundabout way. Like, I wouldn't go the M2 on the basis that, as you guys discussed, it's a car that's sold. It's being sold. It's not a thing you can kind of miss out on. Whereas the other two have a situation where, well, the GTR has been made in a long time. Well, at least the R34s haven't been, made for.
But they were the last of a breed.
Yeah, they're the last of a breed, and even the F6 as well, last of a breed. So I think they're the two cars that really put it, are competing for me. And given that I've driven your F6 and the FG6 would be similar but just faster.
Yeah.
Slightly more refined possibly in the interior. I don't know. It's a difficult decision, but I put myself on the GTR train, not because GTR fanboy, but because you could get the GTR and you won't lose money on it. Not that you'd lose money on the F6 immediately, but you
right.
You won't lose money on the GTR, and if you eventually did have any kind of regrets, you could still sell the GTR, possibly for a profit, and then buy the F6. So that's the end game hustle.
True hustle.
You play the GTR game. Once you get tired of it, you sell it for a profit, and you buy the F6 and enjoy the rest of your life.
I guess as well, it depends on your purpose whether you want to modify the car or not as well. I can tell you right now, if you're going to be modifying an M2, yeah, good luck to you. But if you're looking at the F6 or the GTR, yeah, no problem.
Of course you'd modify a car. Why would you buy a car without modifying it? You got to make it your own.
That's it, man. Well, I think... Well, having said that, the BMW 6 cylinders have taken them all to mods, but M2s being a new car, a lot of people won't want them as of yet, and
they're extremely expensive to work on, given they're Beamers and brand new.
Exactly.
And support is not exactly their comparative to the GTR and the F6.
I mean, yeah, like ownership value game, the F6 is going to win that in Australia, except for if you have a bumper or something. A rear bar is the BAs, I believe.
Yes.
They're unavailable at all in the one place that they built them.
Non-existent.
But at least with the Barra engine and everything else, you can get things on hand, and you will be able to get things on hand for the coming years.
I mean, RBs are pretty common as well.
Yeah. It's just you'd probably be always paying the premium for the RBs because, damn, what would we call it? Tofu tax?
Tofu tax, yeah. Riz.
So I think as many of you know, I'm a BMW fanboy. M5, hands down, the best car.
Yeah.
It's my dream car. But
it's no Maybach though.
It's no Maybach. It's no Rick Ross hustle. It's not Maybach music. But having said that, R34s are cool, really, really cool cars. The M2s are awesome. But the F6 310 Typhoon, I think, is like it'll be a collectible. That inline six, that Barra, that everybody speaks about, like in manual, 460 grand. If you can buy one of those, they'd probably be worth the same, if not a bit more, than some of the GTRs that are out there. Some of the GTRs down the track.
I mean, sorry, go. Yeah. Continue.
Because some of the GTRs that are out there at the moment, like I'm not sure what you could get for as an R34 for 80 grand.
It'd probably be pretty trash. You'll have to put some work on it.
And for value for money, and as a family car, which I guess still got
your kids to take to school.
It's still a Falcon, like and everything else will be a lot cheaper to maintain as well.
Definitely.
Like for example, as long as you don't have a BA clutch to replace, it's about 4 grand, which I don't think they do. They've got that.
No.
So overall, I think if I get one of those, that'd be the way to go. F6 Typhoon.
Jeez, that's one for each of you. Now,
we already got an answer here. You act like you're thinking about this.
Because as much as I like the F6, I'm a big fan of the M2. And you guys know I'm not the R34's biggest fan. I'm a 33 kind of guy. But so having said that, I mean the best F6 you'll get 60 grand. Like the best one is that you can get an F6 310 with relatively low Ks, full service history, with books for about 30.
For about 30, yeah.
And being in a manual, they're quite rare. Being an F6, they're quite rare, but being in a manual, they're rare as shit.
I don't understand that. I could understand if people were buying the F6Es and they were sold. They were sold as automatic. So I can understand. It's like, you're just buying the car because you got some money to throw around. You want to be the businessman with your business suit, repping the luxury FPV. That's fine, but if you're gonna buy, an FPV, why are you buying an automatic? Why not just get an XR6 turbo or a G6E turbo?
So did we get an answer out of Matty?
The answer is the F6. He acts like he's thinking about it and he's making decisions. And
well, look,
when he asked the question, the answer was already. It was predetermined. He designed the question around the answer.
Oh, gee.
Look, 84 grand will get you a 34 Skyline GTR.
How many Ks?
That has done 26,000.
Are they rolled back though? Is it in Sydney? Because I know somebody in Sydney rolls them back.
It's
we
probably
know many places.
It's in New South Wales.
They're very popular. They're a very popular import place. I think at one place supported on some YouTube videos.
Yeah. Well, in the white, they don't really look like a GDR. They look like a GDST.
They do a bit in the white. I mean, this one's got 30 pictures with it.
Yeah, no, that's. I still reckon, in the black, the one we sold for 110 at the Shannon's car auctions. That's a nice car.
That was a V-spec, wasn't it, though?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not even a V-spec, and this is like 80 to 85.
It's got aftermarket tail lights and.
It does too.
A whole lot of other things that and you want it as clean as possible.
So you can ruin it afterwards. No,
exactly.
No, I understand because. Another man's mods are just your trash, Another man's mods aren't what you wanted. If you ruin the car afterwards, it's still your car. You did what you wanted. It's something different. Like my Rexy was, I think, almost completely stock, and I'm ruining it slowly. But it's my car, so I get to ruin it.
Yep.
It's one of those situations.
So the verdict, Matty.
Verdict. Okay. don't need to do a drum roll or anything because I think you guys know what it's going to be. But I'm giving you guys same amount of money. I mean, M2s will go down.
Of course.
Because being a new car, but I'm not talking about value for money. I'm not talking about like depreciation or any of that shit. I'm talking like as a driver's car.
Yeah.
It is probably the most driver focused, the M2, hands down. Over the GTR, it would be. It's still your traditional rear-wheel drive, manual, big engine, big power. Center to rear wheels, agile. I believe it's.
Coupe.
Sorry.
$2.
Coupe, yeah, it's a sports car, is what it is, and it's the true essence of what sports cars are. Now, normal BMW M3s and M4s, they're just too big and too powerful for what a proper an M3 should have been. So I think the M2 kind of lives up to the M3. So I would take the M2 over a 34 GTR, but would I take it over the F6? Because I love the F6, I'll say the F6 as my chosen car. But if I didn't love the F6 as much as I do, I would probably take the M2 because it's a sports car and it's
a sports car, he says, while he rejects the GTR. It's a sports car, he says.
Dude, 34s don't do it for me. 33s don't. Okay, don't get me wrong. 34s, I like 34s because obviously for Paul Walker, but I just reckon they're a big version of what, because the Skylines were like, if you look at a 32 next to a 34, for example, 34 is massive, and I get that cars get bigger and cars obviously with more safety gear and stuff and get heavier, but
bigger car, says the guy who picks the F6.
I'm picking the F6. I'll tell you why I'm picking the F6. I'm picking the F6 one because the engine's pretty much, it is bulletproof. 2, I know I can get engine power, it will work reliably. 3, if I was to sell it, people instantly know what it is, and whereas with an M2, you'd have to be specific for an M2, or especially with a GDR. People are in like that are looking for an F6 or looking for like an Australian muscle car, inverted commas, would be interested in one because they know how good those engines are. Now they're putting barriers in everything. Performance-wise, they're very good. They were underrated from factory. Now, to answer your question before, why they sold so many automatics? The automatics were quicker, but
in a straight line, I'm assuming.
In a straight line, the ZF, as most of us know, the ZF 6-speed is a fantastic transmission. It's one of the best transmissions to ever go.
Definitely hands down
to go in any car. So I get why people bought a lot of the autos, but because of the manual rarity, and the fact that I've driven a manual F6 310, and I've been in a 33 and a 32 GDR. GDRs aren't as quick as people make them out to be, and stock for stock, the F6 would munch a 34. It'd be close. I
believe it was Tuning Fork on Mighty Car Mods.
He's got a G60 turbo,
and he was discussing how I think most R34 GDRs put about 200 down on the dyno.
Yeah.
So stock. So if you're looking at 200 on the dyno, assuming they got 45 to 50 more at the flywheel at best.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 250 versus 310. But
you remember they got all-wheel drive, so I reckon from a dig the 34 would have it, but from a roll the F6 would get over the top. But here's where the M2 comes back, because the M2's got less power than the F6, but it's also power to weight, and they're not exactly a heavy car. So, and being not all-wheel drive and losing that front weight, it's a really, really good question, this one, because they're 3 different cars, but they produce power very similar, but it's the way they drive that's different. So I take the F6 because I'm a Ford guy, and I'm not going to lie, and I do enjoy F6s. I have driven an F6 310, and I freaking loved it. And that one had 360 real kilowatts. Scared the shit out of me. It was ridiculously fast. I was blowing the tires off first, second, and third, and it could have done fourth. I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I don't want to die. If it was a 33 GDR, possibly, but the money what the 34 GDR like for the amount of money that you're spending for a 34 GDR, I don't think you're getting as good as a car as what you could get.
You're definitely not. If they were still at that 60k point, where you get a good one, a nice clean one at 60,
I'd have the GDR.
Yeah. But at this point, when you're looking for a V-spec and you're looking at 110 plus, it's ridiculous. And even though the Americans still haven't gotten their hands on them, I don't know how far up they can push the prices of those.
It's ridiculous
because it gets to the point of like these are still relatively common people buying these cars. They're not, if you've got the capacity to buy cars at that 120 grand point, you're not necessarily going to be like, there'll be some people that are obviously after an R34 GTR and they'll take it, but you're losing kind of a large amount of the market. So I feel they probably won't go more than 150.
Yeah, look, two F6s for the price of a V-Spec. That's a lot. Like, I mean, you're talking about two full sports cars.
You could buy an M2 and an F6 for the price of a V-Spec. And I don't think the GDR is 70, 80 grand more car than an F6 or than a
definitely.
An M2.
I mean, look, if you're talking about as a family car, like, you got way more safety in the F6 than you do in the GDR. And also, I mean, look,
you need safety when you got all-wheel drive.
That's right. Well, that's right. And then you got R30, and then not R35, but the Nissan GDR. The latest one.
You could just get
I mean, how much?
You can get a 35 GDR cheaper than a 34 GDR.
Yeah, because how much is that?
It makes no sense.
How much is a 2008 model GDR?
You can get them under 100 grand. You can
easily.
80 to 100. You can pick it up easy.
So you look at that car, and that was like 0 to 103.4 seconds or whatever it was. Like that versus like R34s. Yes, it's known to be that sort of Godzilla car, but then when you look at the R35, and if it's the same money, it's much more sophisticated car.
And you, even though depending on maintenance is going to be expensive on both, but at least since the R35 is, we'll call it the R35, is still relatively newer, it's not likely to die on you.
It's also running the old VQ in it too, which we know are very tried and true.
VR.
Oh, VR in it.
Engine,
yeah.
It's similar in some ways, I believe.
Yeah, well, again, it's still running that sort of same sort of platform through the V series engines, which are very much tried and true for Nissan. I guess you'd say it's the new generation RB.
Yeah.
And it is technically a supercar.
It is.
Like, it's a poor man's supercar, but it's a supercar, whereas you can't say that about the GTR. It's still, as much as people like to, even I put it on a bit of a pedestal, it's still a sports car.
And, it's based on a Sky. I mean, look, an F6 is based on a Falcon, and a M2 is based off a 2 Series. They're all cars that are based off cheaper versions that are performance. But I just don't think that the GDR is worth that much more money over its counterparts.
Yeah.
If it was a 33 GDR, I'd probably take the 33 GDR, and I'll tell you why. It's cheaper, and you're not getting that much more performance out of a 34 than a 33, if not anything. So, and I reckon the 33 looks better, but that's just me.
That's subjective.
That's subjective. But yeah, one more thing about that point though. If you stand next to out of all those three cars, the GDR has the most presence. And you'll go past a person with a GDR and they'll be like, "Fuck, that's a GDR. Like that's sick."
Yeah.
And you won't be able to say the same thing about an M2. Like
Definitely not.
And I actually there was an M2 there yesterday at the Custom Cars and Coffee, and when I saw what was next to it, like there was a bit further down, it was like a 34, and I'm like, there was a 30. There was that midnight purple. I know you don't hate that color, but that GDR had tons of presence, whereas the M2 didn't.
I was going to say, I guess it comes down to more discrete performance in the Beamer, comparative to something which stands out more like a GDR.
Or a raccoon-eyed F6.
That's the point. But also, having said that, along comes with the GDR. My GDR is the fastest car in the world tax, and people reckon that GDRs are the best thing in the world. And I get, they're great cars. They are awesome cars. If I was given one, I'd defend it to the hills. I really would. But would I buy one for 150 grand? No way. I don't know what they shouldn't be as much money as they are, but I think people are buying them up just because they know they're going to be worth a shit ton, and they are worth a shit ton already. So
I feel the market will crash on them. Not crash, but peak, hit a ceiling, and that's when we slap people.
Look, it's always supply versus demand. It depends on how many are left in Japan and how many people want around the world, type thing, and how many gets wrapped around trees and
a lot.
But it's also the same thing of if somebody. Obviously, once again, we discussed how when the states get their hands on any of the cars, like the R32s have gone up. If anyone really, really wants it and is willing to already pay this kind of money, they've probably gotten it already, and it's just waiting in the garage until things are approved, and they're just going to have it brought out. Obviously, there'll be other people that obviously buy it when they're legal, but I'd say anyone that's got the capacity to buy them kind of at that point has already kind of made arrangements.
Thing is, though, out of all...
Because you see them driving around occasionally in the States.
Yeah, you
as
do.
ghost cars.
That is a cool looking car, them too. Having said that, though, people don't realise, people think that GDRs are so rare. They made tons of them. They made shit tons of GDRs. They made shit tons of the 32s, especially because they had to homologate them. But they are quite everywhere. I mean, you don't. I see more. I'll be honest with you. I see more R34 GDRs on the roads here than I do see F6 310s.
Definitely.
And like I'll be like, holy shit, that's an F6, and I'll be like, holy shit, that's a GDR as well. But you don't see them as much. But yeah, the GDR definitely has if you want a car with presence, and people will be like, shit, that's a GDR. That's the holy grail. Let's be honest, of the RB series engine, in that specific chassis, the BNR 34. Yeah, it'd be as we are welcomed by Avini. You want to say hi for the 100th podcast? Come on, quick, come in the show.
Hi.
And that was our high.
That was our hi. Avini, quick one. F6, BMW M2, or Skyline GTR?
Can I say Skyline GTR?
Get out of my house.
Yeah. See, I'm really smart.
She said Skyline GTR.
No, the F6.
F6, there we go. Alright, thanks Avini. But yeah, presence-wise, GDR. Bang for your buck, F6. Being a new car and being quite like a really best, I'd say probably best chassis. Actually, definitely best chassis of the three. M2, it's kind of up to you. It's kind of personal preference. Rarity, F6. I mean, they're all kind of rare in their aspects, but I mean, yeah, definitely. That's probably one of the hardest ones we've had to do.
Definitely has. And it's taken us quite a bit of time as well. I think this has been our longest Sunday kickback. We're at nearly 1.5 hours.
Just quickly, talking about the R34 GDRs, according to this legitimate GDR registry, 11,577 R34 GDRs were made.
Is that including all the different variations?
Including all the different variations, GDRs, the V-Specs, the
NURs.
V-Spec N1s, and all the rest. I mean, yeah, it's just over 11,500 GTRs were made in R34 series.
And if you put all the F6's series together, you know, from BA, BF, FG, FG2, you wouldn't get you wouldn't get that. So, I mean, 32s they made quite a bit of them as well. 32s that they made shit tons. So, but I think that's a podcast, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, that's it, 100th episode.
Yeah, I can leave now.
Thank you guys for tuning in for our 100th podcast. I don't know what's going on with our Facebook page. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean,
with going live, it worked fine for the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and it's
well, next Sunday we'll give the PC a try.
Yeah.
We've used 2 Macs at this point. It may just be a Mac issue still, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
hopefully we have some better luck. But yeah, just I think thank you, Matt, for having me as a part of this. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, thank you guys. Honestly, like if it wasn't for you guys and wasn't for our listeners, coming along the journey with us, and the show wouldn't happen. So thank you guys. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate those words.
Thanks, Matt, for having me on. I'm probably one of your, I don't know, youngest sort of people on the show.
Yeah, you would be out of like all the people I've like kind of gotten. But having said that, though, you've contributed heaps, and you know I can't thank you enough.
All good, man. Thanks for having us.
And all I would say that if it wasn't for us being here, it would be a really awkward conversation for Matt just to be talking to himself the entire time. Though I'm not going to lie, that would be an amazing podcast just to try and hear himself commentate to himself and sort of talk back and forth. Maybe you should do one of those.
I think we should do a
It turns
podcast.
to a narration at that point, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Some kind of.
Would you rather?
What would you rather, Matt? I don't know, Matt. Would you rather an F6 or a GDR or an M2? Oh, well, I don't know, Matt. What do you think, Matt? I don't know, Matt.
That's actually very easy to do. You just got to develop a multiple personality disorder. And damn, you got 2 people sitting down. That's
Just talk in the third person. People are going to get confused.
Well, thank you, Anthony, for coming on as well, and thank you for holding it down because you've been pretty much here since day one. So,
Yeah, I really don't have much else to do. So.
I'm an excuse to get out of the house for him. Alan's been here since day one. Riz has been here since soonish.
Soonish.
Since most of recent times. But yeah, thank you guys for holding it down.
And he's looking forward to hopefully another 100 podcasts and some more.
I think we will get to our next 100 quite quickly. And
some more, I guess, video content, which will hopefully start, and the website up and coming.
Yeah, it's happening. The website's coming. Mighty Karmas are still going to come on the show. I'm still in contact with them. We are still making this happen. Obviously, they've got one of the crazy schedules going out. So hopefully that'll take us to the next level, give us a good boost, and make this work. So if you're listening to this podcast, give our Facebook page a like. It's CarTorque, TORQUE with Matty J. All our previous podcasts are on there. Or if you look up CarTorque with Matty J on your podcasting apps, we're on iTunes as well. So subscribe, rate, and review. Please give us some good reviews or even bad reviews, but it doesn't really matter. Just give us some reviews. Get us higher on the podcast listing so we can get more noticed.
At the end of the day, everybody has an opinion, just like everybody has an arsehole.
Thank you, Anthony. And did you want us to tell your brother to put the Kievs in the oven?
I was going to end that note, being the 100th episode of Matt. If you can hear this, put the Kievs in the oven. We need to keep the tradition going, so put them in the oven with potato gems.
Put cheese on the potato gems like halfway through.
It's actually good advice. Do that too.
Any quick plugs, guys? Riz, you're actually here for a Sunday kickback, so you can give Carly a quick plug.
Yeah, guys. Riz from Carloop. If you're looking for a car around Melbourne, need a hand with that, just check us out on facebook.com/CarloopAU. Yeah, that's Riz from Carloop.
And if you need help with buying any car, it's free car advice, or if you need help, if you want to go out and buy a car, and you don't want to deal with all the BS, speak to Riz, and he'll definitely look after you. Probably one of the most knowledgeable in the game right now. You're really holding it down for all those people. So
thanks, man.
Alan, any famous one-liners stand up on the show?
So I think this one we could talk about the hustle you need to be a swinger.
Unfortunately, I don't have much experience on that front.
Anthony.
Apparently.
So we'll just say, if you're on swinging, don't leave your keys in a bowl. We'll end with that.
I think that's a good way to end the podcast. Good piece of advice, especially if you're driving a Lambo. Take off the Lamborghini badge in the keys. That's my piece of advice.
Isn't it though, like that the swingers end up using the keys to be like somebody takes it out of the bowl, and like that's the way they like choose who they're going home with or something?
I have no idea how that works.
My idea of swinging is vastly different to yours. We'll have an off-air discussion about this.
I think you're thinking an orgy.
Oh, jeez. Is this taking a quick turn? Well, thanks, guys, for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks to each and every one of our guests of the past 100 podcasts. Thanks to all our listeners for listening to us and making us come into your radios, cars, headphones, wherever you listen to us. Much appreciated. We do this show for you guys, and so thank you for listening to us. This has been CarTorque with Matty J, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Take it easy.
This is professional radio, gentlemen.
And it's front-wheel drive.
Scotty, have you got anyone you want to thank?
Just myself.
And now we do the after hours. Dun, dun, dun.
Gentlemen, what would you go for?
Dacia Sandero. Okay, and because it's not a supercar.
But it is.
It's not.
Automotive perfection comes in the form of two letters, A and U.
Long live my LTD.